Getting into the motions in limine in the Bryan Kohberger prosecution in Idaho, there are a substantial number of motions, and they are going to be argued over the next 2 days, Wednesday and Thursday, April 9th and 10th. Those motions are going to shape what evidence comes in, stays out, and we have watched motions in limine in pending trials. These are quite a substantial bit ahead of jury selection, which is supposed to start in August. The court is giving itself a lot of room for continued motions and for the last minute things that come up. But this case has also been pending for quite a while. So the shape of the evidence should be known by the parties, I think, as we get into some of these motions. And I have seen continued motions for discovery being filed. We're not done with the full shape of the evidence in this case. We know that there are terabytes and terabytes and terabytes and terabytes of data in this case. And so I suspect that we will have more motions popping up on the docket in June and July as well. But the court, it seems, really wants these matters settled well before this case starts picking a jury, and they have time to do it. I think pushing the deadline earlier allows both sides to find the things that are missing. Once you start going through it, you're like, oh, well, that's what's missing. The state has just added an additional prosecutor, so we will see if that individual is in court tomorrow when we tune into these motions. If you don't have the Law Alert app, we built it free for you so you can stay in the loop, particularly with live court and with the quick updates or with the cases that you want. Some of you are like, I am fatigued on the Reed case. I want to pop in when you're covering other things. The Law Alert app will let you know what we're covering and when, and we'll let you know when I'm streaming at not the normal time, which is 11 a.m.-ish Central. So tomorrow it'll probably be an hour earlier, depending on when the court actually starts, but it looks like it should be starting around 9 Mountain. So we should be starting around 10 Central. That's the goal. When it comes to the AT&T Timing Advance Records, I still have questions. The prosecution is arguing that the defense shouldn't be allowed to cross-examine on this. The defense is saying, literally, you can't do that. And we think you're not turning over information that you have, and we think you're doing it willfully. And the prosecution is saying, no, by the time we identified Kohberger as a suspect, those records in 2022 had timed out, overwritten, no longer existed by the regular course of business that they are only kept for 7 days. And now the process is different. The defense has not asserted that those records could be obtained beyond that 7-day window. They have not asserted that Bryan Kohberger was identified and search warrants were issued prior to those dates when it would have been turned over. The defense has asserted that law enforcement said that they saw timing advance records with regard to Kohberger's phone. If they did exist in the possession of law enforcement, that is going to be a problem for law enforcement. But the prosecution and AT&T both have said, well, those could be obtained, but in that 7-day window, they weren't obtained. We got them in 2022 for the phones that we had identified. We had not identified Bryan Kohberger yet. We did not request them yet, and they timed out. And the defense has not challenged that timing. So I'm left to wonder if that 7-day period in 2022 is the truth. I have a lot of questions, but I'm surprised that the defense did not highlight that 7-day period if they know that records can be obtained outside of that window. Because it seems that the defense is arguing solely that the prosecution said those records didn't exist, but in 2022, those records do exist and can be obtained. And the prosecution is saying they can be obtained within 7 days, but if they're not obtained within 7 days, then they do not exist. So I don't know if we have a splitting of hairs or a very large issue. If the prosecution got these records and didn't turn it over, that is a very large issue. If the prosecution requested those records and AT&T came back and said those no longer exist, then that is not a very big issue. Thanks for joining me. If you enjoyed this episode and don't want to miss updates on your favorite cases, you're going to need the LawNerd app at lawnerdapp.com. That way you can stay in the loop on the cases that matter most to you, and you never know when you're going to catch feelings for a new case. So make sure you get it for free on iOS and Android. Thank you for being here, and thank you for being a Law Nerd.